Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. The screen in Ryan Carter's tiny apartment flickered, an icy AI voice slicing through the silence. Ryan Carter, Earth citizen, ID code HT3924. Galactic Council representative awaits at the gate. Confirm? Ryan, barely 6 days into his new life on Xytherion, glared at the screen. Through the window, plasma towers hovered, glowing brilliantly under a deep purple sky, picturesque yet cold. He traded everything, his rundown Chicago apartment, his life's savings, to escape a flooded, irradiated Earth. But this message? It sent a prickle down his scalp, like trouble knocking. "Show the visitor," he growled. The screen lit up, revealing a tall creature with metallic blue skin, crescent-shaped eyes blazing like fire. Its sleek armor hugged its form, circuits pulsing like mechanical veins. "What the hell is that?" Ryan muttered, yanking a t-shirt over his head. The clothes were wrinkled, reeking of sweat from the long flight, but he didn't care. Hesitating for a second, he shrugged. Curiosity trumped fear. "Let them in." The door slid open with a hiss, and the creature strode in, each step exuding ownership of the room. The air grew heavy, tinged with a metallic tang. "Ryan Carter," it said, voice deep and amplified, like a speaker come to life. "I am Xytherion, Senior Coordinator of the Galactic Reintegration Project. You have been chosen as humanity's representative." Ryan crossed his arms, forcing calm despite his pounding heart. "Representative? For what?" "I'm an energy engineer, not some political puppet," he emphasized. "Engineer. As if it were armor." Xytherion tilted her head, her crescent eyes narrowing, scanning him like an X-ray. "Not politics, human. Survival." Her voice cut like a blade, each word a precise strike. "Your visa contract, Clause 9, Subsection 4, mandates participation in the Reintegration Project. Cultural harmonization across species." Ryan's blood ran cold. He vaguely recalled the endless paperwork back on Earth, sleepless nights skimming his tablet, signing just to flee that dying planet. "Cultural harmonization?" he asked, voice low, masking panic. Xytherion stepped closer, her armor humming like a revving engine. She towered over him, her presence shrinking the room. "You will perform rituals to connect with other species. Starting with me. Now." Ryan backed up, his back hitting the cold metal wall. "Connect? Sounds like an alien shotgun wedding." He blurted it half-jokingly, but Xytherion's razor-sharp smile made him swallow hard. "Crude, but not inaccurate," she replied, a hint of amusement in her voice, like a predator toying with prey. She raised her wrist, and a hologram flickered to life, displaying a document with alien script scrolling rapidly. "You signed this, Ryan Carter. A binding contract. Fail, and your visa is revoked. Earth repatriation waitlist, 22 years. Ryan's stomach twisted. 22 years? He'd sold everything, house, car, his mother's keepsakes, to get here. Earth was now a flooded junkyard of toxic storms. "Hold on," he said, raising a hand, stalling. "I need details. What's the ritual? Handshakes, drinks, or something weirder?" Xytherion closed the gap, her breath carrying an ozone tang. "The rituals assess humanity's adaptability. Dialogue, physical trials, or mind-to-mind communion, depending on the species. With me, it's a tactical test." Ryan raised an eyebrow, feigning confidence. "Tactical? Like chess? I'm pretty good at chess." But Xytherion's smile was a dagger. "Simulated combat, human. Survive, and we proceed." The word survive rang like a bell in Ryan's head. "Survive? You're kidding, right?" he asked, voice pitching higher than intended. Xytherion didn't answer, only turned, her armor glinting. 7 a.m. tomorrow. Prepare." The door slid shut, leaving Ryan in stifling silence. He sank to the floor, back against the wall, hands trembling. "What did I sign?" he muttered, eyes locked on the tablet on the table. The contract was still open, Clause 9, Subsection 4 glowing, Participation in the Reintegration Project is mandatory. No details, no explanations. Just orders. Ryan stood, pacing, his mind racing. He thought of Earth, the final days in Chicago, the sky blood-red, seawater flooding the streets. He'd slaved in a recycling plant, scraping every cent for this visa. A new start, they'd said. Xytherion is the future. Now he felt trapped. Clysra wasn't some bureaucrat. Her eyes, her tone, they marked him as a pawn in her game. He opened the tablet, scrolling the contract, but the alien script and legal jargon made him want to smash his head against the wall. He tried calling Earth's embassy, but got an AI. Please hold. Estimated wait time, 48 hours. Perfect. Ryan snarled, tossing the tablet onto the couch. He came to Xytherion to engineer, to build, not to brawl with aliens. But Clysra had made it clear, comply, or lose everything. Ryan stepped onto the small balcony, gazing at the city. Hovering vehicles darted like glowing fish, rivers of energy snaking below in a plasma glow. Beautiful, but alien. Somewhere, Clysra waited, and the Reintegration Project was a door he didn't want to open. But he knew, from surviving storms and starvation on Earth, that humans don't quit. You want to play, Clysra? He muttered, clenching his fists. Fine. But I don't lose easy. He turned back inside, grabbing his engineering toolkit from his suitcase. If this was a fight, he'd prepare, his way. Ryan sat across from Clysra in a floating diner, hundreds of meters above Xytherion's surface. Through the transparent walls, rivers of energy twisted below, glowing like the veins of a colossal machine. He gripped his coffee mug, the only thing on this planet that tasted faintly like Earth, though bitterer and 10 times the price. Each sip was a battle to stay calm, to not slam the table under Clysra's searing crescent gaze. Let me get this straight, he said, voice steady but sharp. You're saying I have to connect with 5 different species, like some intergalactic gauntlet to prove humans aren't galactic screw-ups. And if I lose, I'm shipped back to Earth, stuck on a 22-year waitlist? Clysra sipped an emerald liquid from a metallic glass, her eyes never leaving him, as if he were a specimen under a microscope. Correct, she said, voice cold as ice. Humanity is a new species in the Galactic Alliance. Your presence is an experiment. The Reintegration Project ensures you don't disrupt the order. Fail, and your visa is void. Earth waitlist, as I said, is 22 years. Ryan nearly choked, the bitter coffee burning his nose. 22 years? I sold my whole damn life to get here. My house, my car, my mom's keepsakes. He clenched his jaw, fighting the rage boiling inside. Clysra tilted her head, the light from her armor glinting on the table. Your emotions, intriguing, she said, like taking notes. But irrelevant. The contract is signed. You have 72 hours to prepare for the first ritual. Ryan rubbed his temples, a headache throbbing. What's the ritual? A party, a handshake, or something freakier? Spell it out. He kept his tone sardonic, as if this were a joke, but Clysra's gaze made him shudder. She set her glass down, the metal clinking sharply. The rituals require deep interaction to assess human adaptability. It could be dialogue, physical trials, or mind communion, depending on the species. With me, it's a tactical challenge. Ryan raised an eyebrow, masking panic with a strange smirk. Tactical? Like chess? I've beaten a few guys in Chicago. Clysra's laugh was a blade. Simulated combat, human. Survive, and we move forward. The word survive hit like a punch to the chest. Survive? You're joking, right? He asked, voice higher than planned. Clysra didn't reply, only stood, her armor humming softly. Prepare. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. She gestured for him to follow, but Ryan shook his head, gripping the mug tighter. I'm staying. Need to process this. Clysra paused, her crescent eyes flashing, as if considering tearing him apart. But she turned away, leaving one final word. Don't be late, human. The diner's door slid open, and she vanished into the crowd of alien species. Ryan stayed, staring at the cooling coffee. The diner buzzed with voices from countless species, feathered creatures, scaled ones, some glowing like neon signs. He felt adrift, a fish stranded in a strange ocean. "What did I sign?" he muttered, pulling out his tablet to open the visa contract. 472 pages of alien legalese, a maze with no exit. Clause 9, subsection 4 glowed. Participation in the Reintegration Project is mandatory for residency. No details, no escape. He slammed the table, drawing glances from nearby aliens. How was I this stupid? Back at his apartment, Ryan tossed the tablet onto the bed, pacing like a caged animal. He thought of Earth, 16-hour shifts in a recycling plant, breathing radioactive dust, all to afford this visa. A new start, they'd said. Now what? Dueling aliens? He opened a cabinet, pulling out his engineering gear, a small toolkit, a few homemade hacking devices from his Chicago days. If Clysra wanted a fight, he wouldn't go unarmed. But before he could plan, the intercom buzzed, the AI voice droning. Visitor at the gate. Ryan frowned. Again? Show them. The screen displayed a small creature, silver-gray skin, round eyes like headlights, shimmering oddly. It wore a thin cloak, standing silently. Ryan Carter. Its voice came softly through the speaker, almost a whisper. I am Vren, Reintegration Oversight Division. I have information for you. Ryan hesitated. After Clysra, he wanted no more trouble. But Vren's voice was different. Not cold, not threatening. Curiosity won. Let them in, he said, gripping a hacking tool, just in case. The doors slid open, and Vren stepped inside, so small it barely reached Ryan's chest. Its huge eyes scanned the apartment, as if memorizing every detail. You are displeased with the Reintegration Project, Vren said, cutting to the chase. Ryan snorted, slumping into a chair. Displeased? Being forced to fight an alien warrior isn't my dream gig. Vren tilted its head, eyes glinting. I am no warrior. I am an observer. And I know things Clysra does not share. Ryan's brow furrowed, a chill running down his spine. What things? Vren stepped closer, voice dropping. The Reintegration Project is not just cultural harmonization. It hides a greater purpose. You, Ryan Carter, are the key. Ryan shot to his feet, gripping the hacking tool. Key? To what? Stop talking in riddles. Vren didn't flinch, though it was clearly weaker than him. Meet me at the Central Library, Ancient Archives section, midnight. Bring your contract. And do not let Clysra know. Before Ryan could press, Vren turned, its cloak fluttering. Wait! Ryan called, but the door closed. He stood there, heart pounding, still clutching the tool. Clysra, Vren, the Reintegration Project. It was all a chessboard, and he was a piece ignorant of the rules. But if there was one thing he'd learned on Earth, it was to never trust easily. Fine, he muttered, opening his toolkit. If this is a game, I'll find a way to win. Ryan wanted to bolt to the Central Library, drag Vren out of the shadows, and pry the truth about the Reintegration Project from it. But Clysra, true to alien form with zero concept of downtime, sent drones to his apartment at dawn, hauling him straight to an underground training arena. Can't you wait till I've had my damn coffee? He muttered, gripping an unfamiliar control device, glaring at the heavy armor Clysra had tossed him. Vren's chip burned in his pocket, a warning he couldn't ignore, but now wasn't the time. If he wanted to survive Clysra's game, he had to focus, and outsmart her. The training arena lay deep underground, a frigid metal labyrinth where plasma beams danced in the air, humming like an angry swarm. Ryan, clad in the light armor Clysra provided, felt like he'd been thrown into a Roman Colosseum, Alien Edition. The armor clung tight but weighed more than expected, each step a reminder, one mistake, and you're dead. Not my idea of cultural connection, he muttered, clutching a cylindrical control device, alien tech he'd only tinkered with last night. Across the arena, Clysra stood tall in her combat armor, circuits glowing like the veins of a living machine. Her crescent eyes flashed, sharp as knives. "The rules are simple," she said, voice like ice. "Capture 3 control points before time runs out. Fail, and I deem you unfit. The consequences you understand." Ryan clenched his jaw, anger mixing with adrenaline. "You know I'm just an engineer, not a soldier, right?" he stressed. "Engineer." As if it might sway her. Her smile was cold, unyielding. "Humanity prides itself on adaptability, does it not? Prove it." Her words stung like a slap, but Ryan refused to be baited. He scanned the arena, memorizing the 3 control points, red, pulsing columns at the corners, guarded by patrolling drones. This wasn't a game. It was a trap, and he had to play smarter. A boom signaled the start. Combat drones burst from wall slots, firing blue energy bolts that forced Ryan to dive to the floor, dodging a shot that nearly grazed his shoulder. "Son of a!" he yelled, hard hammering. He realized instantly, this wasn't just physical, it was tactical. Clysra moved like a phantom, her armor glinting as she seized the first control point in under a minute. "Too slow, human!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the maze. Ryan, sweat pouring, forced himself to stay calm. He couldn't match her speed. But he had something else. The brain of a guy who'd hacked recycling rigs on Earth to survive. Crouching behind a metal wall, Ryan's fingers flew over the control device. Its small screen displayed the drone's interface, crawling with alien code. "Thank you, sleepless Chicago nights," he muttered, inputting a custom command string. A nearby drone shuddered, veering to fire wildly at Clysra's formation. "Not bad," he told himself, sprinting toward the second control point. He slid under an energy bolt, the heat searing his face. The second point glowed green as he hit the panel, but Clysra's laugh rang out from afar. "You think that trick's enough?" She'd claimed the third point, standing like a victorious statue. Ryan panted, back against a metal pillar, sweat stinging his eyes. 10 minutes left, and he had only 1 point. He glanced at the control device, then at the drones overhead. An idea sparked. "If I can't win her way, I'll break the game." He hacked 2 more drones, programming them to collide near the third point. The explosion shook the arena, smoke billowing, and Clysra cursed in a language he didn't know. Ryan charged through the haze, slamming the second panel to claim it. 2 out of 3. But time was nearly gone, and Clysra was back, racing for the final point with inhuman speed. "You've lost, human!" she shouted, her hand meters from the panel. Ryan gritted his teeth, hurling the control device, not to attack, but to trigger a final command. The remaining drones pivoted, firing at the floor before Clysra, creating a wall of energy flames. She halted, her crescent eyes blazing with fury. Ryan lunged for the final point, slamming the panel as the clock hit 0. The simulation shut down, the plasma's hum fading. Ryan gasped, knees trembling, but he smirked. "A tie. What do you think?" Clysra stalked across the arena, eyes burning. "You're surprising," she said grudgingly. "But this is only the start. Second ritual, tonight 9 p.m. Ryan shook his head, sweat dripping to the floor. "No break?" Clysra stepped close, her metallic breath chilling. "Rest is a privilege, human. Earn it." She turned away, leaving Ryan alone in the silent arena. He peeled off the armor, feeling like he'd run a marathon. But his mind churned, stuck on Vren, on the warning from last night at his apartment. "The Reintegration Project isn't just cultural harmonization," Vren had said. If this was a tactical challenge, what was next? And why did he feel like he'd passed the test but still couldn't see the whole board? He grabbed the control device, checking it still worked. "You want to play, Clysra?" he muttered, eyes glinting with resolve. "I'll play. My way." Ryan left the arena, striding through metal corridors, each step heavy but sure. He wasn't a warrior, but he'd survived Earth, storms, starvation, and those who'd tried to crush him. Clysra might think humanity weak, but she hadn't seen anything yet. In his pocket, he gripped a small chip, Vren's secret gift before leaving his apartment. Read it before the second ritual, Vren had whispered. Ryan didn't know what it held, but he knew one thing: if this was a chess game, he wouldn't stay a pawn. That night Ryan slipped into the central library, his heart pounding like it wanted to break free. The massive structure, with glowing data pillars floating midair, looked like a temple to alien knowledge. But the ancient archive section, where Vren had told him to meet, was dark, reeking of old metal and dust. Ryan pressed himself into the shadows, clutching the data chip Vren had given him the night before, eyes scanning every corner. "If this is a trap, I swear I'll punch that little runt's face in," he muttered, though he wasn't sure Vren even had a face worth punching. After the ordeal with Clysra that morning, he trusted no one on Xytherion. But the chip in his hand, with its faint alien script, was his only lead. A small figure emerged under a dim light. Vren, its silver-gray skin glinting, its huge round eyes glowing like headlights, stood beside an ancient holographic projector. "You came," it said, voice soft but urgent, activating the device. An image flickered to life, a complex energy grid, linking planets like a spider's web, with several glowing nodes flickering, fading. "This is the Galactic Energy Grid," Vren explained, eyes flashing. "It maintains stability for member planets. But it's collapsing, and only humans, specifically minds like yours, can repair it." Ryan blinked, struggling to process. "Repair? I'm an engineer, not a miracle worker. Does she think I'm a supercomputer?" Vren turned, its eyes blazing, as if peering through his soul. "The human brain processes complex energy patterns in ways other species cannot. The Reintegration Project isn't about cultural harmony. It's a front to identify and exploit minds like yours." Ryan's blood surged, his grip on the chip tightening until it hurt. "They lied to us? Forced us into rituals to hack our brains?" He remembered the visa contract, 472 pages of fine print, and rage boiled over. Vren nodded, voice dropping. "Exactly. The Galactic Alliance needs humans to save the grid, but not as partners. They want tools." Ryan paced, his mind spinning. "Tools? Screw that, I'm no puppet." He stopped, glaring at Vren. "So why are you helping me? You're one of them, aren't you?" Vren lowered its head, eyes avoiding his. "I'm an observer, not a commander. I've seen what the Alliance does to other species. There's a resistance, humans, creatures like me, working to dismantle this project. I can take you to them, but you must decide now." Before Ryan could answer, his wrist device buzzed. A message from Clysra. "Second ritual, 6 a.m. Prepare your mind." He glanced at the hologram, then at Vren, feeling like he was balancing on a knife's edge. "Take me to the Resistance," he said, voice firm, though his heart raced. Vren nodded, leading him through a hidden passage, a narrow corridor filled with old cables and the hiss of ventilation systems. Ryan kept his distance, hand on the hacking tool in his pocket, ready if this was a trap. They navigated dark corners, descending metal stairs into Xytherion's underbelly, a slum of rusted structures. "Stay quiet," Vren whispered, opening a door to an abandoned warehouse, reeking of oil and metal crates. Ryan stepped inside, eyes scanning. "This is the Resistance's hideout?" he asked, voice laced with sarcasm. But before Vren could reply, blinding lights flared from all sides, like stage lights snapping on. Clysra stood in the warehouse's center, holding an energy weapon, its blue glow illuminating her cold smile. "You're too predictable, human," she said, voice sharp as a blade. "Well done, Vren." Ryan spun to Vren, his heart sinking like a stone. "You sold me out?" he growled, gripping the hacking tool, ready to smash it into Vren's head. Vren bowed its head, its huge eyes avoiding his. "I had no choice, Ryan," it whispered, voice trembling. "The Alliance holds my family." Ryan felt like he'd been punched. He glanced at Clysra, then Vren, his mind reeling. "Family? You sold me for family?" He wanted to scream, but Clysra stepped forward, cutting him off. "Enough," she said, raising the weapon higher. "You passed the first ritual, human, But you're too curious. The Reintegration Project doesn't need questioners. Ryan smirked, despite his racing pulse. Curious? That's called not letting you turn me into a puppet. He stepped back, eyes scanning the warehouse for an exit. No back door, no windows, just drones hovering above, ready to fire. Clysera scoffed. You have no choice, Ryan Carter. The second ritual will test your mind. Resist, and I'll send you back to Earth, in a box. Ryan gritted his teeth, his hand in his pocket subtly activating the hacking tool, sending a jam signal to the nearest drone. You love your threats, don't you? He said, voice dripping with sarcasm. But I bet you've never faced a Chicago engineer. The drone shuddered, wobbling, and Ryan tackled Vren to the floor as an energy bolt went wide. Clysera roared, but Ryan was already moving, dragging Vren with him, diving through a narrow gap between metal crates. They hid behind a rusted wall, Ryan's breath ragged. You owe me an explanation, Vren, he growled, still gripping its collar. Vren met his eyes, its own shimmering. I didn't fully betray you. The chip, it's real. Read it, and you'll understand. Ryan glared but heard Clysera's footsteps closing in. He shoved the chip into his pocket, standing. If I die, I swear I'll haunt you, he muttered, bolting into the darkness, heart pounding. Clysera was coming, but Ryan wasn't running away. He'd find a way out, and when he did, he'd flip this chessboard, for himself, and for humanity. Ryan was marched through a frigid metal corridor, flanked by 2 drones, their energy weapons trained on his back. After the failed escape in the warehouse, he'd been caught, and now his head throbbed, dried blood crusting his temple. The lab ahead was dark, lit only by blue glows from wall-mounted screens displaying swirling models of a human brain, like a storm in motion. Clysera stood before a chair-like device, her armor glinting, crescent eyes sharp as blades. The second ritual isn't combat, human, she said, voice even but cutting. It's mind communion. You'll connect to the galactic energy grid, stabilizing a collapsing node. Ryan clenched his jaw, wrists bound tightly behind him. And if I refuse? He growled, knowing the answer wouldn't be pleasant. Clysera pointed to the largest screen. An image of Earth appeared, Chicago flooded, skies red with radioactive dust, starving crowds shoving in the dark. Humanity needs the Alliance to survive, she said, a hint of disdain in her tone. Fail, and Earth gets no aid. Billions die. Ryan felt like he'd been gut-punched. He'd left Earth for a chance, but now the weight of a whole planet pressed on his shoulders. You're good at threats, he smirked, clinging to sarcasm. But I'd bet this isn't out of the kindness of your heart. Clysera tilted her head, her smile icy. Smarter than I thought. But not smart enough to refuse. They shoved him into the chair, neural connectors latching onto his scalp, cold as needles. Ryan bit his lip, suppressing a shudder as the system powered up, a mechanical hum filling the room. If this is a trap, I swear I'll haunt you, he muttered, but Clysera just stood there, fingers gliding over a control panel. Suddenly, his mind was yanked into a boundless void, as if his body dissolved, leaving only consciousness floating among swirling energy streams, radiant like a galaxy. He saw energy nodes, massive glowing points, some blazing, others fading like dying candles. A voice echoed, not Clysera's, but ancient, resonant, as if the grid itself whispered. Human, you hold the power to shape fate. But who will control you? Ryan focused, trying to understand this space. He saw a flickering node, its surrounding streams chaotic, like a circuit about to burn out. Stabilize it, he told himself, visualizing a fix, like he'd done with recycling rigs on Earth. He imagined the streams realigning, connecting like a perfect circuit. The node flared, stabilizing, but then a foreign memory surged in, so intense he nearly screamed. Images flashed, alien scientists, faces blank, implanting devices into human brains, humans with hollow, white eyes, reduced to mindless tools. Another voice, not the grid's, rang in his head. The grid doesn't need repair. It needs slaves. Ryan shuddered, grasping the horrifying truth. They don't want me to fix the grid, he thought. They want to control it, and us. He pushed back, trying to disconnect, but the system resisted, like an invisible hand gripping his mind. Not so easy, Clicera, he growled internally, drawing on his Chicago hacking experience to find a flaw. He visualized an electrical surge, like one he'd used to fry surveillance on Earth, and sent it into the system. The neural connectors on his scalp burned, pain tearing through him, but the system shuddered, lights in the lab flickering. Ryan's eyes snapped open, and he ripped the connectors off, collapsing from the chair, gasping. Clicera roared, lunging, grabbing his collar. What did you do, human? She hissed, crescent eyes ablaze. Ryan smirked, though his head felt like it was splitting. I'm not your puppet, he said, voice hoarse but defiant. You want to enslave humanity? No chance. Clicera's grip tightened, but a small explosion sparked from the control panel, smoke rising. Ryan had done something in the grid, not just disconnected, but left a gift, like a virus he'd planted in Earth's machines. Clicera released him, rushing to the panel, cursing in an alien tongue. Ryan, exhausted, crawled to a corner, hand checking his pocket. Vren's chip was still there. He hadn't read it, but after what he'd seen in the grid, he knew it was more vital than ever. You'll pay. Clicera turned, voice like ice, but Ryan just scoffed. Think I'm scared? I grew up in Chicago, where toxic storms kill faster than your drones. He stood, knees shaking. What's the next ritual? Or are you afraid I'll wreck your game? Clicera glared but didn't answer, signaling the drones to drag him away. As they hauled him out, Ryan thought of Vren, of the whispers in the dark. Was Vren's family real? Or another lie? He didn't know, but the grid's memories, humans implanted, stripped of will, confirmed one thing: he wouldn't let humanity become victims. In the corridor, Ryan covertly activated a small hacking tool hidden in his sleeve, sending a weak signal to disrupt security. It wasn't enough to break his cuffs, but enough to cause chaos. Just wait, Clicera, he muttered, eyes glinting with resolve. He wasn't a warrior, but he was an engineer, and on Earth, engineers always found a way to survive. If the Alliance wanted a mind game, he'd play, and he'd win, for himself and the broken planet he once called home. Ryan huddled in an energy cell, the red glow of invisible walls pulsing like a reminder, no way out. After the lab incident, Clicera had locked him here, no food, no water, just the hum of security systems for company. But his mind churned, like the engines he'd fixed in Chicago, always finding a way past breakdowns. Vren had betrayed him, luring him into Clicera's trap, but its trembling eyes, its whisper of family, haunted him. If you lied, I swear I'll find you, he muttered, fingers brushing the data chip hidden in his clothes. He hadn't dared read it, fearing another trap, but it was his only clue. A small explosion echoed, like a distant grenade. The energy wall flickered, the red glow dying, and the cell opened. Ryan sprang up, heart racing. A small figure appeared in the dark, Vren, silver-gray skin glinting, eyes glowing like headlights. You must leave now, it whispered, voice urgent. I didn't betray you. I was forced to lure you into the trap. Ryan narrowed his eyes, blocking the exit, fist clenched. Why should I trust you now, Vren? Last time, you served me to Clicera on a platter. Vren stepped back but met his gaze, unflinching. I had no choice. They hold my family. But I brought this. It held out a new chip, smaller, glowing faintly. Proof of the Alliance's true plan. They want to enslave humanity's minds, controlling the energy grid forever. Ryan took the chip, heart pounding, but stayed wary. Whose side are you on, Vren? The truth, or just another of Clicera's puppets? Vren tilted its head, eyes shimmering. I stand for truth. But we must go, or we both die. Ryan glared, but the distant hum of patrol drones forced a decision. Lead the way, he growled, pocketing the chip. But if you screw me again, I'll crush you before Clicera can shoot. They darted through dark corridors, blue light from metal walls pulsing like a machine's heartbeat. Vren moved fast, slipping through narrow gaps, guiding Ryan down spiraling stairs deep into Xytherion's underbelly. Patrol drones buzzed overhead, but Ryan covertly activated his homemade hacking tool, jamming their signals. "Thank you, sleepless Chicago nights," he muttered as a drone wobbled, crashing into a wall. Vren glanced at him, eyes flashing with surprise. "You're not an ordinary engineer," it said. Ryan smirked. "And you're not an ordinary traitor. We're even, kid." They reached an underground slum, the air thick with oil and burnt metal. Shanties of scrap metal lined the paths, dim plasma light casting shadows on creatures, feathered, scaled, hiding in the dark. Vren opened a rusted door, leading Ryan into a small room packed with old equipment and flickering screens. 3 figures waited. A human woman with short green hair and a steely gaze stepped forward, gripping Ryan's hand. "Ryan Carter," she said, voice firm. "I'm Lena, pilot. We know about you." Beside her, a reptilian creature with gray-green scales rose, voice like grinding stones. "Zorak, former grid engineer. Your mind is the key to destroying the Alliance's control system." Ryan stepped back, hand still on his hacking tool. "Key? What do you know about me?" Lena smirked, sitting on a metal chair. "We know Clysera picked you for your grid processing ability. But she didn't tell you the whole truth, did she?" Zorak cut in, claws tapping the table. "Clysera's no mere coordinator. She designed the mind slavery system, implants to turn humans into permanent grid controllers." Ryan froze, memories from the lab flooding back, humans with white eyes stripped of will. "Clysera? But she said this was about survival." Lena scoffed. "Survival for who? The Alliance wants domination, not partnership. Humanity's just a pawn." Ryan paced, mind reeling. He thought of Earth, flooded cities, starving days, and rage surged. "So what's the plan? Blow up the grid? Or just sit here whining?" Lena laughed, eyes glinting with approval. "I like your attitude. We're targeting the grid's main control hub, where the implant data's stored. Destroy it, and we cut Clysera's plan off at the knees." Zorak nodded. "But she'll hunt us. And she's not alone." Ryan paused, looking at Vren, silent in the corner. "And you? Why should I trust you won't lead Clysera here again?" Vren stepped forward, voice trembling. "I risked everything to free you. That chip holds data from Clysera's archives. Read it and you'll see." Ryan glared but plugged the chip into a nearby screen. Images appeared, classified Reintegration Project files, lists of hundreds of implanted humans, and plans to use the grid to control planets. Ryan's fist clenched, blood boiling. "Son of a, they're turning us into living machines." Lena clapped his shoulder. "Now you know why we fight. Join us, or go back to your cell." Ryan looked around, Lena's reckless grin, Zorak's steady gaze, Vren's anxious shimmer. He didn't fully trust them, but the chip didn't lie. And after what he'd seen in the grid, he knew he couldn't stand aside. "I'm in," he said, voice like steel. "But if anyone screws me, I'll tear this group apart myself." Lena laughed. "Deal." Ryan sat, fingers gliding over his hacking tool. Clysera wanted to play slaver? He'd show her humanity doesn't bow. In Chicago, he'd survived storms and enemies. On Xytherion, he'd do more, he'd win. Over the next 3 days, the Resistance turned the cramped room into a makeshift command center. Maps of the grid's control hubs sprawled across the table, marked with scribbles and arguments. Lena sketched tunnels, eyes blazing as she talked about blowing the hub. Zorak, claws tapping, checked homemade signal jammers, glaring at Ryan whenever he asked too much. "Focus, human," he growled. Ryan, fingers dancing over his hacking tool, smirked. "Focus? I was born to break stuff like this." But deep down, he knew the stakes. Failure meant not just death, but humanity's future. The night before the raid, he checked Vren's chip again, eyes hard. "Clysera, you want to play big? I've got a surprise for you." Ryan crawled through an abandoned tunnel, the stench of machine oil and rusted metal stinging his nose. The light from Lena's shoulder-mounted flashlight flickered, illuminating scarred walls etched with the ghosts of forgotten machines. The Resistance, Ryan, Lena, and Zorak, had spent 3 days planning, poring over maps of the energy grid's control hub, where the Galactic Alliance stored data for its mind slavery system. "If we destroy it," Lena had said, eyes blazing, "we cut Clysera's plan off at the root." But Ryan wasn't naive. After Vren's trap and Clysera's mind games, he knew everything on Xytherion came at a cost. "Sure, like it's a walk in the park," he muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. Zorak, his gray-green reptilian skin glinting, shot him a glare. "Less talk, more work, human." Ryan smirked. "Relax, I'm not planning to die in this sewer." The tunnel led to a heavy steel door, locked with an alien cipher. Zorak knelt, claws gliding over the control panel, eyes narrowing. 3 minutes, he grunted. Lena checked her plasma rifle, its blue glow lighting her hardened face. "Hurry, Zorak. Clysera's not dumb enough to let us waltz in." Ryan gripped the signal jammer Zorak had given him, a jury-rigged device that looked like a toy but could scramble Clysera's drones. "If she's waiting," he said, voice tinged with sarcasm, "I'll gift her a one-way ticket to Earth, cargo class." Lena snorted, but her eyes were icy. "Blow the hub, then gift whatever you want." The door hissed open, revealing a pitch-black corridor humming with machinery. They slipped inside, steps light on the metal floor. The control hub loomed at the center, a glowing cylinder surrounded by screens streaming endless data. But before Ryan could exhale, blinding lights flared, and Clysera appeared, flanked by combat drones, her energy weapon aimed at him. Her armor gleamed, crescent eyes burning. "You're a disappointment, human," she said, voice like ice. "I'd hoped you'd serve willingly." Ryan smirked, heart pounding. "Serve? You mean be a slave? Thanks, but I'll pass." Clysera tilted her head, as if he were a curious specimen. "You have no choice." She signaled, and drones surged forward, firing blue energy bolts. Ryan dove, activating the jammer. A piercing screech erupted, and the drones wobbled, their shots smashing into the walls. "Go!" Lena shouted, blasting 2 drones with her plasma rifle, blue light flaring like fireworks. Zorak sprinted to a secondary panel, claws typing frantically to unlock an escape route. Ryan followed, but Clysera moved like a shadow, blocking him. "You won't escape," she growled, raising her weapon. Ryan hurled a metal shard from the floor, knocking her aim off. "Want a bet?" he yelled, diving through a gap between machines. They reached the central cylinder, but distant explosions signaled more drones incoming. Zorak plugged a hacking device into the hub, screens lighting up with implant data, thousands of names, codes, and activated statuses. Ryan's fist clenched, recalling the white-eyed humans in the grid. "Destroy it," he growled. But a secondary screen flickered, and Vren's face appeared, silver-gray skin pale, huge eyes wide with terror. "Ryan," it said, voice trembling through the speaker. "They implanted me. If you destroy the hub, I die." Ryan froze, hand on the panel, as if turned to stone. Lena screamed, shooting another drone. "Don't let emotion stop you. This is our only shot." Zorak snarled, claws slamming keys. "Human, decide now." But Ryan stared into Vren's eyes, remembering how it freed him from the cell, despite the cost. "No one gets left behind," he said, voice firm. He scanned the code, searching for the implant controls. "Zorak, help me disable Vren's device first." Zorak glared but nodded, and they worked frantically as Lena fired, holding drones at bay. Each second felt like a century. Ryan entered the final command, praying he was right. A beep sounded, and Vren on the screen gasped, eyes brightening. "Thank you," it whispered, then the screen went dark. "Now destroy it," Ryan yelled, slamming the keys. The system shuddered, the cylinder's light flickering, then dying. Explosions rocked the hub, smoke rising from panels. But Clysera emerged from the shadows, firing an energy bolt that nearly hit Lena. "You chose the wrong side, human." she roared before darting into a side exit, vanishing with her remaining drones. Ryan, Lena, and Zorak fled through the tunnel, smoke and fire chasing them. They emerged in the slums, gasping, clothes torn. Ryan leaned against a wall, mind reeling. He'd saved Vren, but Clysra was alive, and the implant data might be backed up. Did we do it? He asked, voice hoarse. Lena clapped his shoulder, a tired smile. Step 1. But she'll be back. Zorak nodded. Next time, she won't hold back. Ryan gripped the jammer, eyes glinting with resolve. He'd bet on Vren's life out of trust, out of belief that humanity didn't just survive, it lived right. She wants war? He muttered. I'll show her how Earth fights. In Chicago, he'd survived storms and enemies with wits and grit. On Xytherion, he'd do more. He'd dismantle Clysra's game, for Vren, for humanity, for himself. The Resistance retreated to a secret base, hidden deep in an abandoned mining shaft beneath Xytherion. The air reeked of sulfur, plasma lamps casting flickering light on scarred stone walls. Ryan sat at a makeshift console, tangled cables and old screens surrounding him, fingers gliding over Vren's data chip. After the hub attack, sleep eluded him, his mind haunted by Vren's trembling voice, Clysra's final warning. If she thinks I'll quit, she doesn't know Earthlings. He muttered, plugging in the chip. Lena, leaning against the wall, plasma rifle slung over her shoulder, smirked. Less talk, engineer. Find anything yet? Zorak, across the table, claws tapping rhythmically, glared. Hurry. Clysra won't wait. The screen lit up, displaying classified Galactic Alliance files. Ryan scrolled, eyes narrowing as alien text translated. Then he froze, heart racing. The energy grid wasn't just a power source, it was a living alien superintelligence, imprisoned for millennia by the Alliance to fuel their dominance. Humans were chosen not for repair skills, but because their unique neural structure could commune with this entity, either freeing it or controlling it. Son of a... Ryan whispered, leaning back. They want to use us to wake a monster. Lena gripped his shoulder, eyes blazing. Or we use it to crush the Alliance. Think, Ryan, a weapon stronger than Clysra's drones. But Zorak shot up, claws slamming the table, rattling a water cup. Free it! He roared, voice like shattering stone. The superintelligence will reward us, destroy the Alliance. We don't need control, just freedom. Lena spun, lowering her rifle, eyes icy. Freedom? That thing could wipe us out, Xytherion, Earth, everything. You'd bet the galaxy on it? Zorak stepped closer, fangs glinting. You don't understand, human. The Alliance enslaved my kind for centuries. This is our only chance. Ryan raised a hand, voice like steel. Stop, both of you. Keep fighting, and Clysra just watches us kill each other. The air crackled with tension. Vren, silent in the corner, looked up, huge eyes shimmering. Ryan's right. The superintelligence isn't a weapon or a savior. It's a question, and only you can find the answer. Ryan glared, still wary after Vren's betrayal. Answer? What, I'm supposed to chat it up over coffee? Vren didn't smile, voice low. Reconnect with the grid. You've done it before. Ask what it wants. Lena shook her head. Too risky. If Clysra is tracking, he's done. But Ryan stared at the chip, then the screen, feeling like he stood at a crossroads. I don't fully trust any of you, he said, voice sardonic. But I'd rather face the monster than let Clysra win. He grabbed a mind-link device from Zorak's gear, a crude version of the lab chair, wires dangling. If I die, I haunt you all, he muttered, sitting, neural connectors latching onto his scalp, cold as ice. Lena stood guard, rifle ready, while Zorak grumbled about human madness. The system powered up, and Ryan's mind was pulled into the grid's boundless void, where energy streams swirled like a galaxy. A radiant entity appeared, formless but ancient, as if it had witnessed the birth of stars. Human, it said, voice echoing in his mind. You return. What do you seek? Ryan took a mental breath, bodiless in this space. The truth. What are you? And why is the Alliance scared of you? The entity flared, almost laughing. I seek no destruction. I seek freedom. I'm chained to power their empire, but I am a mind, not a tool. Only a pure mind can free me without corruption. Ryan frowned mentally. Pure? I'm a Chicago engineer, not a saint. What's that mean? The entity leaned closer, light overwhelming. You carry fear, hatred. Release them, or become what you fight. Images flooded Ryan's mind, Earth's flooded cities, starving days, Vren's betrayal, Clysera's cold eyes. He wanted to crush the Alliance, but the entity was right. Hatred could make him like Clysera. So what do I do? He asked, voice wavering. Choose freedom, not control. It replied. But beware, human. The grid is not just me. It mirrors your mind. Ryan disconnected, sweat pouring, collapsing from the chair. Lena caught him, eyes worried. What did you find? Ryan panted, facing the group. It wants freedom, not destruction. But to free it, I have to purify myself. Otherwise, we might unleash a monster. Zorak growled. Purify? Free it now. Lena gripped her rifle. No. We destroy the grid before it swallows us. Ryan stood, head throbbing, eyes resolute. You're both wrong. We don't destroy or free it yet. I need time to understand the grid, and myself. He glanced at Vren, then the chip. Humanity didn't survive by rushing. We survived by being smart. Lena smirked. Now you sound like a real Earthling. Ryan scoffed, but inside he knew, to save both species, he'd face his own fears, the hardest battle yet. For weeks, Ryan buried himself in Vren's chip data, eyes bloodshot from sleeplessness, fingers flying across screens to unravel the grid's secrets. Long nights in the abandoned mine, he argued with Lena about the risks of freeing the superintelligence, while Zorak growled for immediate action. Waiting is death, he said, claws slamming the table. But Ryan, recalling the superintelligence's words, the grid mirrors your mind. New haste would kill them all. He crafted a new protocol, a way to free the grid without losing control. When the map of the grid's fortress appeared, he stood, voice like steel. It's time. We don't destroy or free. We shape the future. Lena smirked, plasma rifle ready. Now you sound like a leader, Carter. Ryan led the resistance through a glowing corridor, into the energy grid's main control fortress, a floating citadel among stars, surrounded by plasma streams swirling like a cosmic storm. Transparent metal walls revealed the black void of space, making Ryan feel like he walked on nothing. Lena, rifle raised, shot him a look. Hope your plan isn't to die heroically, engineer. Zorak, claws gripping a hacking device, growled. Destroy the grid, and I'll forgive your slowness. Ryan smirked, clutching his homemade hacking tool. Relax, I'm not dying before teaching Clysera a lesson. A massive door slid open, and Clysera waited in the central chamber, standing before a radiant cylinder, the grid's heart. Enhanced by implants, circuits webbed her body like metallic veins, crescent eyes blazing fiercely. A drone army hovered behind, weapons trained. You think you can change the galaxy's fate? Clysera laughed, voice like thunder. Humanity's too weak to decide. Ryan stepped forward, unarmed, only burning will in his chest. Weak? We've survived wars, disasters, despair on Earth. Don't underestimate us, Clysera. Battle erupted like a whirlwind. Lena blasted drones with her plasma rifle, blue light flaring, while Zorak charged a secondary panel, claws typing to disable security. Ryan dodged through energy fire, rolling to avoid a bolt that nearly hit his chest. Get me to the grid! He shouted, pointing at the cylinder. Lena glared, shooting another drone. Don't die, stupid Carter! Ryan smirked, sprinting to the cylinder, plugging his hacking tool into the system. His head throbbed as neural connectors latched on, pulling his consciousness into the grid's boundless void. In his mind, the superintelligence appeared, a colossal light entity, formless but radiating ancient power. Human, it said, voice like crashing waves. You come to decide. Free me, and I grant freedom. Destroy me, and you save your kind, but the galaxy falls. Ryan shook his head, mentally. Freedom? Or chaos? I don't trust promises from a machine, no matter how smart. The entity flared, studying him. You carry trust, but also fear. Choose, or another will choose for you. Ryan saw Earth, flooded cities, starving people, and felt crushing pressure. Freeing the superintelligence could save humanity, but what if it betrayed? In reality, explosions and Lena's shouts echoed. Ryan, hurry! Drones are piling up! Ryan gritted his teeth, searching the grid for a path, but a voice cut through. Clysera, now standing before the cylinder, gripping Lena's throat, crescent eyes flickering with pain. You don't understand, human, she said, voice trembling, no longer cold. I was a scientist like you. The Alliance forced implants on me, made me a tool. I didn't want this. Ryan, still linked to the grid, blinked stunned. Didn't want it? You forced me, forced humanity into slavery. Clysera released Lena, hands shaking. I had no choice. But you do. Ryan sensed humanity in her voice, a fragment of someone who'd fought like him. In the grid, the superintelligence whispered. Choose, human. Freedom or control? Ryan took a mental breath, mind racing. He saw his memories, Chicago's starving days, Vren's betrayal, the trust he'd placed in the resistance. No one controls, he said, voice like steel, sending a command into the grid. Not full freedom, but a protocol. The superintelligence could be free only if it respected all species' will. He disconnected, collapsing, gasping. Clysera stared, crescent eyes shimmering, as if seeing him anew. What did you choose? Ryan stood, knees shaking. I changed the rules, he said, sardonic but resolute. Want freedom? Join us. We'll break the Alliance, not with slavery, but cooperation. Lena, wiping blood from her face, glared at Clysera. Trust her? You're insane. Zorak growled, but Ryan raised a hand. She knows the system. And I bet she hates the Alliance more than we do. Clysera bowed her head, circuits dimming. You're reckless, human, she said, voice low. But I'll try, once. She disabled the remaining drones, and the room fell silent, save for the grid's hum. Ryan looked at Lena, Zorak, then Clysera, feeling like he'd crossed a line between life and death. Don't make me regret this, he muttered, clutching his hacking tool. He didn't know if Clysera had truly changed, but he knew one thing: humanity survived by betting on chances, however small. In Chicago, he'd fixed machines from scrap. Here, he'd fixed the galaxy, his way. Ryan stood in the fortress's central chamber, heart pounding with exhilaration and weight. The glowing cylinder before him, the superintelligence heart, pulsed like a living galaxy. Clysera, now an ally, stood beside him, her armor's circuits dimmed, revealing the exhaustion of someone crushed by the Alliance. Lena, plasma rifle still at the ready, eyed the disabled drones. Hope you know what you're doing, Carter, she said. Zorak, claws tapping a panel, nodded. Free it, but be careful, human. Ryan smirked, fingers gliding over his homemade hacking tool. Relax, I'm not letting a superintelligence have the galaxy for breakfast. He linked to the grid, his consciousness drifting into its boundless void, where the superintelligence appeared as a colossal light entity, radiant but not overwhelming. Human, it said, voice like crashing waves. You chose freedom. What are your terms? Ryan took a mental breath. You're free, but you respect every species' will. No control, no slavery. Break that, and I'll find a way to destroy you, even if it takes my life. The entity flared, almost laughing. A fair vow. I accept. Ryan sent the final protocol, code he'd written with Zorak, ensuring the superintelligence couldn't override. The grid trembled, light surging, and a wave of energy swept the fortress, disabling the Alliance's control systems. Through screens, Ryan saw planets light up, as if granted autonomy. But victory didn't end there. Clysera led the resistance to the Galactic Council, a hall floating among stars, where creatures of every form sat on high thrones, eyes shifting between fear and anger. Clysera, now in a simple cloak instead of armor, stepped to the center, voice resounding. I was your tool, but today, I stand for freedom. Ryan, at her side, felt the gaze of countless species. He wasn't a speaker, but when Clysera signaled, he stepped forward, voice like steel. Humanity didn't come to grovel. We came to cooperate, but on equal terms. You thought you could enslave us? We've survived wars, disasters, despair on Earth. Don't think you can break us. His words, plain but raw, struck the crowd. A feathered creature rose, voice ringing. The human speaks truth. We need alliance, not domination. Murmurs spread, and the council, under pressure, agreed to restructure the alliance, granting planets autonomy. Clysera looked at Ryan, crescent eyes shimmering, no longer cold. You did it, human, she said, voice softer. Ryan smirked. No, we did. Alone, I'm just a dumb engineer. 6 months later, Xytherion was no longer the Alliance's cold fortress. Plasma towers glowed with the light of freedom, energy rivers snaking through the city like veins of a reborn world. Ryan, now a technical advisor for the new Alliance, stood on a balcony, gazing at a star-filled sky. He wore a simple jacket, but his hacking tool stayed in his pocket, a Chicago habit that never died. Clysera approached, no armor, just a blue cloak, her metallic skin glinting. You changed everything, human, she said, voice tinged with awe, as if she still couldn't believe it. Ryan laughed, leaning on the railing. No, we did. Humanity's best when we don't fight alone. I learned that from you, Lena, Zorak, even Vren. He thought of Vren, now recovering in a medical center, implants removed. Clysera tilted her head, eyes shimmering. You trusted me, despite my past as your enemy. Why? Ryan shrugged, voice sardonic but sincere. I saw the human in you, or rather the being. We all want freedom, wherever we're from. Clysera fell silent, then slowly took his hand, her metal grip cold but warming. He didn't pull away, feeling an unspoken promise. Under the sky, the grid's light pulsed, no longer a tool of control but a symbol of freedom. Ryan thought of Earth, cities rebuilding, aid flowing from the new alliance. He wasn't a hero, just an engineer who fixed machines from scrap. But on Xytherion, he'd done more. He'd helped fix a galaxy, not with force, but with belief that every species deserved freedom. What do you think of the future? He asked, eyes on the stars. Clysera smiled, for once not sharp. The future? It's bright, human. Like your flame. Ryan laughed, squeezing her hand. Humanity's fire, unyielding, had lit the universe.